Are we moving to Mexico?
We have been getting this question so much since we started sharing our videos from Mexico.
So today we're going to compare Mexico and Ecuador head to head and see which one comes out on top for factors that matter the most to us and maybe to you.
We always use a VPN regardless of where we are in the world, and you should too. And that's why we are so excited to talk about Surfshark, today's sponsor.
We use a VPN to protect our privacy online. This is really important during the holidays when you're shopping for gifts to keep your credit card and your personal info safe.
Using a VPN also prevents those annoying targeted ads, which are also kind of creepy and scary.
And plus, if you're shopping for your kids or your grandkids, you want to keep your browsing history private so they can't see what sites you visited and figure out what you're getting. I remember when we were kids, we had to sneak around the house and looking for presents or try to steam the tape off of those packages to open them without it looking like they've been opened. Now they just go onto your browser history.
Yeah, kids are very resourceful, but those criminals are too, and that's the great thing about the VPN.
Start your gift shopping today with a 24-month VPN plan from Surfshark.
Right now, Surfshark has a great offer. You get an extra 3 months free, plus 85% off. This is only valid until December 31st, so don't miss it.
By the way, it is available for all your devices with just one account, and they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Just scan the QR code right here, or click that link in the description below and use our promo code Amelia and JP.
Your gift ideas are safe with Surfshark. And now let's talk about Mexico.
Mexico has a lot of factors that are very appealing, and one of those factors is how close it is to the United States.
Yeah, Mexico has a lot of different international airports with a lot of different flights to a lot of different cities in the United States and Canada and the rest of the world.
Plus, you can drive there. This is something that's been really important to us as our parents are getting older, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that as well. Sometimes you need to be close to your family.
Mexico is also really well developed. There's lots of nice highways and hotels and housing.
Yeah, they have really nice malls. The airports, we were super impressed with the airports. The internet was really fast, really reliable, and really cheap. Same with the cell service. We didn't have any issues with using our cell phones while we were there, and we didn't have any issues with electricity either. You can get pretty much anything you need in Mexico. They have a wide variety of shopping, a wide variety of products available.
Yeah, lots of international brand stores like Walmart, Costco, lots of different malls, big, beautiful malls that we saw. Also, the electronics, compared to Ecuador at least, are a lot cheaper. They're probably on par more with the United States. About half the price compared to what we see here in Ecuador.
The largest mercado in Latin America is located in Guadalajara, and we went there and wow, it was overwhelming. You can find everything you need there, including delicious fruits and vegetables.
And if you can't find it there for whatever reason, you don't feel like walking to thousands of vendors, you can also order on Amazon Prime. They have 2-day delivery in Mexico.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that. I had separated myself from Amazon Prime when we left the country in 2017.
Yeah, I saw hints of that addiction coming back while we were there. Like her eyes would get really big and the smile would reach from ear to ear. And I thought, oh my goodness, this might be why we moved to Mexico.
And the restaurants are amazing. We ate out way too much because we couldn't resist all the delicious Mexican food. But there was all sorts of other food too. We had Indian and Lebanese. And don't worry, JP, I'm not going to list them all. But Mexico has got a lot of offerings for delicious food, including incredible mole.
Oh, the mole sauce.
Oh my gosh.
Forgot how much I love mole. That's made with chocolate, in case you were wondering.
The Mexican people are super friendly. We were standing outside the grocery store, and a couple different people from Guadalajara came up and just started chatting with us in Spanish, just asking us how we were enjoying our time and if we were happy and where we lived and cosas así. It was really nice. We felt that way about everybody we met. Everyone was very welcoming and friendly.
Mexico also has a large variety of housing options to fit most budgets and also most tastes and preferences.
Yeah, you can get a condo, you can get a single family home, a duplex. We saw several places that were in gated communities, some buildings with 24/7 security and high rise, so the sky's the limit. We stayed in a loft in an Airbnb and we absolutely loved that.
Yeah, the views were amazing. And if you can afford it, you can stay in one of those all-inclusive resorts and just live there if you want to. Can we do that, Amelia? One of those beachside resorts?
No, that's not in our budget.
I think I would gain a lot of weight eating all that delicious food too.
Mexico is well known for its high-quality healthcare. It's ranked number 29 by CEO World, and it's been popular with medical and dental tourism for a long time.
The healthcare in Mexico is not only high quality, but it's also extremely affordable, although you need to make sure you know what the price is going in so you don't get special pricing as a foreigner. Healthcare is really important to a lot of people, so Mexico is very attractive for that.
And Mexico has an incredible, rich culture, and there is just so much to experience.
Yeah, you have the mountains and the beach. You can go hiking, you can go snorkeling, you can go to Cozumel, which is an island. You can go visit all of the Mayan ruins. It's so cool to go see those. I've been to Chichen Itza before. I loved it. They have cenotes where you can actually go swim in a cave where it's so deep you can't even see the bottom.
Yeah, and you can learn how to salsa dance, you can learn how to make tequila or try mezcal, learn how to make that mole sauce, which I tried once and I'd rather just go and eat it in Mexico. It's very difficult.
You can even get your face painted up like a dead person.
Katrina.
Despite everything Mexico has to offer, there are some things that aren't that great.
And one of those things is that it's harder to get a visa. Mexico has raised their income requirements, plus they got rid of their perpetual tourist visa, so there aren't as many options for people.
Yeah, you can't do visa runs anymore. We still get this question on our videos about Mexico about doing the visa runs. That's gone. They got rid of that a year ago. They're giving people like 2 to 4 weeks when you enter the country now. Some of that's based on your return flight. So you're not getting that like 6-month stamp like you used to.
Mexico is also on the peso, and for those of us who have a hard time converting converting money in their head, this could be a detriment.
The value of the peso fluctuates quite a bit, and some of the bills you're going to have to pay in pesos. That means you have to transfer money in from your home currency like the US dollar. And because of the currency fluctuation, it might actually lose value.
Some of the cities are really big and really crowded, and that can be a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, the traffic is horrible. It took us like 45 minutes to just drive like 5 miles from the airport into town. It's maybe 10 miles, but it took a long time in bumper to bumper traffic. And the country is huge too. It takes forever to drive from one side to the other. It takes hours just to fly from one side to the other. So that's something that we're not used to here in Ecuador, where we can be in another city in like 45 minutes tops.
Yeah, and also we were not prepared for the level of pollution. Our eyes were burning, and there were a couple of times when we woke up in the morning and we could just smell the pollution, and our place was pretty tightly sealed, so it was pretty bad.
And with big cities, it's also not very walkable. We were able to walk quite a bit around Colonia Americana, and the walks in Ajijic that we took and around Lake Chapala, they were long walks. They're not, I wouldn't call it walkable, but we walk a lot, so it wasn't too bad for us. But when we were staying in Colonia Americana, we were a mile from a grocery store, and there were a lot of little corner shops, like convenience stores, but they didn't have food that we eat. They had packaged junk food and pop or soda from wherever you're from. And that was it. They didn't have like fresh produce like what we're used to seeing here in Ecuador in these corner shops.
Some of the popular areas have gotten more expensive because more and more people are flocking to those areas. They may be expats, digital nomads, but they're also Mexican people who have moved out of the cities into areas like the Lake Chapala area because they can work remotely.
Crime is also a major downside to Mexico. 6 of the 7 most dangerous cities in the world are in Mexico. And compared to Ecuador last year, our most dangerous city, Guayaquil, just made number 50, not even close to the top.
We were victims of crime while we were in Guadalajara, and while it didn't ruin our trip, it definitely made us think twice about our safety while we're visiting the country. And obviously, the whole country is not dangerous, but it does rank pretty low on the World Population Review list. It comes in at 137 on the safest countries list.
Mexico is also really hot. We were not used to that.
No, we've become spoiled living in Ecuador. I was pretty hot quite a bit on our last trip there, and I thought it would be cooler because we were in the mountains, but that was not the case. And boy, on the coast, it is crazy hot and humid.
And now let's talk about Ecuador and what makes it great. It's a good spot for expats, especially from the United States, and one of the main reasons is because it's on the US dollar, the exact same currency.
Yeah, that makes life a lot easier for those of us who are quite familiar with the US dollar.
Yeah, you don't have to do math in your head. Plus, the dollar is really strong right now. A lot of Ecuadorians are going to Colombia to go shopping because the Colombian peso has been devalued. So the dollar goes a lot further in these other countries. Another great thing about Ecuador is the visas. They have a bunch of different visa options. Almost everyone will qualify for at least one of those. The income requirement in Ecuador for the pensioner visa is like 1/3 or a half compared to Mexico.
We love the climate here in Ecuador. Most of the mountain towns are called the land of eternal spring because they are higher in elevation compared to some of the mountain towns in Mexico. A lot of them are over 7,000 feet, which means that they are cooler. However, that also means you're going to get more rain, but you're not going to be hot and humid like you will be in Mexico. And it was our experience living on the coast that the coastal temperatures were not nearly as hot and humid as those in Mexico.
Yeah, during the summer when it's the warmest, it gets into the low to mid 80s on the coast, and it's parts of it are very humid, other parts are very dry. There's a lot of different microclimates in Ecuador. So you could literally just go over a hill and be in a desert from a jungle. And it's like that throughout Ecuador, but we just love the temperatures here. You don't need air conditioning or heat in the mountains. On the coast, you need air conditioning for some of those hot summer days, especially in the humid areas. But for the most part, the climate is very stable and the temperature is great year round.
Every place we lived in Ecuador has been walkable, and we have never felt the need to have a car, which is really nice.
Yeah, 5 years of living here and no car. We walk everywhere. All of the neighborhoods have little mercaditos, like little grocery shops where you can go buy your groceries. The Super Maxis, which are like King Supers or Safeway or Soriana in Mexico, those are walkable. We've been able to walk to those wherever we've lived. There's also restaurants in every neighborhood that we frequent, and there's walking trails all over the place. There's river walks, like they call them linear trails or linear parks along the rivers. There's all kinds of trails that you can go walking on.
Ecuador has incredible fruits and veggies. We were missing our Ecuadorian produce in Mexico and when we visited the United States as well. I can't even describe it. The flavor is incredible. They are not pretty. They may be ugly, but they taste great.
Yeah, they're picked almost ripe, so they don't pick them extremely green or, they're basically ready to eat when we buy them. We don't have to wait for a week or two for things to ripen on the counter. So when we're buying freshly picked produce, it just tastes better. And this rich volcanic soil here in Ecuador, it's perfect for growing all the stuff we love to eat.
Yes, we feel very spoiled.
One of the biggest things for me is the healthcare with my ongoing back issues and now other issues I've added to the list. Ecuador is ranked number 24 by CEO World for quality and affordability of healthcare, and we've experienced that firsthand. We're extremely happy with the healthcare here, especially compared to the United States. Usually the prices are 1/10 to 1/3 for similar procedures and things that we've had done in the United States. So we just are so happy with the quality and affordability of healthcare here.
Ecuador has a good infrastructure. They don't have the big fancy highways like we're seeing in Mexico and the United States, but you can get from point A to point B. The internet here is super fast and extremely affordable, and we have had such good luck with our Claro. We have not had any issues with our cell phones. It's extremely reliable. Same with the electricity. We haven't had power outages to deal with like we did a little bit when we first moved to Ecuador back in 2017, but that's gotten a lot better.
And some of the buildings that we've lived in recently have power generators or diesel generators. So if the electricity does blink or go out, that generator kicks in and we don't have any disruption.
There's also a lot of different housing opportunities here as well, or housing options. You've got, same as Mexico and every place else, you've got your gated communities, single family homes, townhomes, condos with 24/7 security. When we lived in Manta, we stayed in a beautiful high rise. We lived on the 15th floor with views of the ocean, and that place was like a resort.
Ecuador is also great for outdoor activities. You've got the mountains, the Amazon jungle, the coastal region with the beaches. You've got the Galapagos Islands, which is the birthplace of Darwin's theory of evolution. So the wildlife there is just crazy. Things found there nowhere else in the world.
Ecuador is great for bird watching. We took a trip to Mindo and wow, it was a magical experience. We went and saw these hummingbirds and they actually landed on us. There were so many different types and you could hear their little wings like zinging past us. It was the coolest experience. And then we went the next morning, we got up early and went to see toucans in their natural habitat. They were not in a zoo or in a cage. It was just incredible. Ecuador also has a rich culture and history. You can see Inca ruins right in the heart of Cuenca, and you can even see shrunken heads, which I think they're really creepy, but they're fascinating. Inca Pirca is also in Ecuador. It is an important archaeological site from the Incan Empire.
I also really love the bright clothing that the indigenous people wear. I've even had my own hoodie that I love to wear. It's the beautiful bright colors.
Everyone here is so friendly. They are so helpful and supportive, and they absolutely love it and appreciate it when you try to speak some Spanish. But no place is perfect, and Ecuador is no exception. And one of the downsides is that it is farther away from the United States.
Yeah, it takes about 5 hours to fly from Quito to Miami, and it costs a lot more money. Some of those flights from Mexico into the United States are super cheap and affordable compared to how much we have to pay for airfare here in Ecuador. Plus, we have to plan a long travel day for it. In Mexico, you can literally be in your destination within a couple of hours.
Since the pandemic, Ecuador has seen an increase in crime and drug trafficking activity, especially around the port cities, and that is concerning.
But compared to Mexico, Ecuador is quite a bit safer. It's ranked 79 on the World Population Review. And even though the crime has increased, where we live, we haven't really seen much of a difference.
Ecuador is a small country. It's the size of one state in Mexico, which means that there just isn't as much variety overall. There aren't as many areas where expats may want to live, so you don't have as much options to choose from. And English is not as widely spoken.
Ecuador is ranked near the bottom of the list for English speakers in Latin America.
I'm sorry, Ecuador, but your beaches are not as nice as those in Mexico, and Ecuador does not have the resorts that Mexico has to offer as well. Imported goods are also much more expensive here. The prices have gone down, but it is still significantly more compared to Mexico and the United States. And there is not as much variety.
And also, there's no Amazon Prime, no next day or second day delivery. We are able to order on Amazon now, but it takes a week or two to get the items here, and the shipping cost is pretty expensive.
The main benefit Mexico has over Ecuador, at least to us, is that it's close to the United States and to our families back home.
However, we still think Ecuador has a lot going for it that really matters more to us, more than a shorter plane ride.
And I was surprised, we felt homesick when we were visiting the United States and Mexico. We were missing our sweet little country of Ecuador.
We also have permanent visas in Ecuador, and we're just a few months away from applying for Ecuadorian citizenship.
We are planning on traveling a lot more. There are so many countries we want to visit, and we may consider applying for a visa in one of these countries in the future. But as of now, we are not moving to Mexico. We are staying put in Ecuador.
If you are thinking about moving to Mexico, then you might be really interested in our rental home tour that we shared recently. So check out this video next.
Both Mexico and Ecuador have so much to offer for us immigrants from the north.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong with either one. They are both great countries.
If you enjoyed this video, then leave us a like, please, and we will see you all in our next video.
Ciao.
Ciao.